Hello, BookTube. I did a very partial bookshelf tour yesterday, and a lot of you seem to like it, but I had no plans to do any more. I don't see the point in doing bookshelf tours of a collection that is in a state of upheaval. Every shelf, every book, every long-standing piece of momentum, it's all being torn apart. So it didn't seem to me to make any sense to commemorate part of that, except maybe just to talk about the books. A lot of you who emailed me said that's what you liked. But I hadn't planned on making any more, and then Joe Spivey made a bookshelf tour, and that means all the cool kids are going to be doing it. So I thought I'd do another one, and we'll just see what we have here. It'll be random. A number of you emailed me saying that your poor anal retentive organizer self, a couple of you were librarians, emailed me and said that the books were interesting, the video was interesting, but oh my, you hated seeing just a jumble of things next to each other that don't belong. I agree. I agree. But that is the way of this bookcase for this book collection almost everywhere. A great number of the biographies are still together, but it's not looking good. It's going to look good when it's done, but it's going to be much smaller when it's done as well. So I thought we'd go through another shelf. And we'll start with this huge thing. This is the Dennis Washburn translation of The Tale of Genji in hardcover. Gigantic, 1,000-year-old, 1,500-page Japanese epic that is as incredible today as the day it was written. I got the advanced copy of this from the publisher. I got the finished copy and begged and pleaded to review it. I did, and I am blurbed on the paperback. So I don't technically need to have the hardcover anymore. The hardcover is a cinder block. And it doesn't have the best blurb of all time on it, so that's a little bit of a mystery. Oh, then we have Lawrence Norfolk. Lawrence Norfolk is, I think he's terrific. I think he's seriously good as a writer. I don't know why he doesn't get that credit. He doesn't work all that much. Doesn't do, as far as I know, he doesn't do all that much, unless maybe he has just resoundingly lost his American contracts. That could easily be true. But he did a book called Lampre's Dictionary that was great. And he did a big, strange historical novel. This thing, The Pope's Rhinoceros. The deckled edges, they are a gigantic thing that is really, really good, but very strange. It's about an embassy sent to Pope Leo X in 1516 to bribe him, to supply him with all sorts of exotic stuff that he might find fun and interesting in order to smile benevolently on the giver. And according to legend, one of those things was a live rhinoceros. And that, believe it or not, is the kernel of this novel. And any of you who've read Norfolk will know it spins out from there in all kinds of directions. Just wonderfully, wonderfully written. It's not easy. He's not an easy writer. You have to work a lot to put the pieces together in a lot of his books, but I love him. I think he's great. Okay, then we have science fiction. This is a mass market copy of Perdido Street Station by China Mieville. This is also great, also not entirely easy. You have to pay attention. And sometimes, especially in the last third of the book, you have to pull pieces together. That's not laziness on the part of the author. This author is anything but lazy. It's just he's expecting you to be present in the work. This is a mass market paperback. I have the trade paperback with the deckled edges and the French flaps. I have an ebook. No idea why I have this. I love Perdido Street Station, but I don't love it enough to have 3 different copies of it. That's part of the reason why this collection is in an upheaval. Then we have a mass market of Anne McCaffrey's Dragonflight. Look at that cover, huh? That's Michael Whelan. Just amazing. You've got the whole painting there, with dragons leaving from this peak here and flying through a green alien sky. This was the one that started it all for Anne McCaffrey. This is the original mass market, or the remake. The original mass market paperback had an ugly cover. This has a beautiful cover. It's not technically an accurate cover, but for the inside details of the story. But the stories, these all involve the planet Pern. And this series would go on for 20 books and would become known as the Dragon Riders of Pern, or the Pern series. Pern is a planet in the Rookbat sector that was colonized by human spacefarers. So this is science fiction. It's just science fiction so far descended from its roots that the participants in the novel don't know that it's science fiction. Those colonists find Pern to be a lovely Earth-type world, and so they settle in. But their advance diagnostics about the planet failed to reveal the fact that it has a sister planet, and that occasionally that sister planet orbits close enough so that spore can make their way across the intervening distance and fall as thread on the planet Pern. And thread is deadly to anything organic. It kills it, burns it to pieces. The thread falls from the sky like the deadliest kind of snowfall periodically on Pern, depending on the orbits of those two planets. And that missed the attention of the original colonists, so they're utterly blindsided. They're not in this book. This is thousands of years later. But they're utterly blindsided by what to do. They can't leave. They can't make the journey back, so they have to make the best of it. And they genetically engineer tiny little dragon-like beings that live on the planet. They genetically engineer them into gigantic beasts of burden who are also human-level intelligent and telepathically linked with their riders. And they genetically engineer these animals to... they don't have aircraft. So they genetically engineer these animals to ingest a kind of phosphine rock and belch flames. So these are fire-breathing dragons. But their goal, their whole purpose, is to burn thread out of the air before it can land on crops or people. The dragons even have the ability to jump through hyperspace in little jumps. And as they're genetically engineered, that ability is increased so that the dragon can take his rider between so they can dodge out of the way of thread. It's very dangerous anyway. You don't know that you're not going to get burned. And the dragon riders become an elite caste on the planet Pern. And as the years go by and the years go by and the years go by, everybody forgets the science involved. And everybody just on Pern just knows, all the farm holders and whatnot know, that when thread is in the sky, the dragon riders must fly. But it's been a long time since that sister planet interjects with Pern, and people have forgotten. They've forgotten the old ways. They're letting growth, for instance, encroach on their habitations, when that is, their habitations are stone, and they're absolutely not allowed to have that happen. And they're also starting to grumble about the tithes they pay to the dragon riders. Why are we supporting these people in baronial splendor when we don't even know what they're for? Of course, there is a reason. They are absolutely essential. Everyone on the planet will be devastated if threadfall happens. And that's the point at which this book starts, is that the dragon riders are in low esteem. The world has fallen away from the old protective habits of threadfall. And there is a young woman working as a scullery maid, this is a chosen one thing, who has the amazing ability to telepathically communicate with dragons. Not just the dragon she's bonded to, but any dragon. And her discovery by the dragon riders coincides with the fall of thread. And Dragonflight is amazing. Just an amazing book. But I have the ebooks. I have the old Science Fiction Book Club hardcover of the first three, and I also have a lovely trade paperback of the first three. So, and I think I might even have a box set of the first three. The first three are Dragonflight, Dragon Quest, and White Dragon, and they're all wonderful. They're followed by a fourth book that's not part of that original trilogy called Mareta, Dragon Lady of Pern. That also is wonderful. They're not always wonderful after that, but this is, again, an egregious duplicate. Okay, all right. We saw, actually, the cover illustration here. This is another Michael Whelan illustration. We saw the cover illustration of this, a detail from it yesterday. This is Julian May's Pliocene Exile series, only this is the book that it comes from. This is book number 2 in the series, The Golden Torque. There's Aiken Drum floating there with the Golden Torque. You have this gorgeous artwork here. These illustrations give you an idea of some of the adventures that Julian May's core cast of characters have when they go back to the Pliocene era and encounter the two races of aliens that are there. It turns out those aliens, they're complex. They're good and bad and everything in between, just like humans are. And also, the future world these humans come from is one where every sentient being has at least some latent psionic abilities. And most people have them not latent at all. Most people have them very overt, very developed. And some of the humans who go through the portal, the time portal to the Pliocene, they experience a drastic increase in their psionic abilities. And that also affects the power balance of everything, especially at the climax of this book, where two characters who are perhaps the most prodigiously talented of them all, the most prodigiously meta-powered, face off, both against each other and against the alien overlords. Really, really good stuff. Okay, then we have a mass market copy of Lois Lowry's The Giver. No idea why. Charming enough. YA novel. Charming enough. It was made into a fairly interesting movie adaptation. There were bits and pieces of the movie adaptation. It's got Lloyd Bridges, Jeff Bridges. It's got Meryl Streep, who does an icily perfect performance, and also Brendan Thwaites is the main character, who's aged up a bit to be in the movie. The movie is not bad. The adaptation is not bad. It has a couple of innovations, a couple of changes on the book that I think work much better. Of course, the thing falls apart at the end. Absolutely falls apart at the end. And it falls apart at the end of the movie, too. There's nothing you can do about it. But there are parts of the movie that it's well worth your time, is what I'm trying to say. Okay, then we have, this is a weird ace paperback of Neuromancer by William Gibson. This is widely regarded as the science fiction novel that popularized or kicked off cyberpunk, that invented the cyberpunk subgenre. It's also beautifully written. Really, really good job. Don't know, this cover is ugly. The original paperback cover in America was not ugly. Okay, then we have the original paperback cover of, the American paperback cover of Kim Newman's Bloody Red Baron. This is a sequel to Anno Dracula, which is the story of a vampire takeover of Victorian England. So Anno Dracula is the story of what really would have happened if Bram Stoker's Dracula had happened. If Dracula had come to England in order to fill it with the undead, what would have happened if he'd succeeded? Well, Anno Dracula is what would have happened if he succeeded. But fans loved it, and Kim Newman obviously loved writing his world of vampires and half-vampires and filling them with historical characters. So the Bloody Red Baron in this book is Baron von Richthofen. He is the Red Baron, but this book has plenty of other historical characters. And it's World War One. The first one was the Victorian era. This is centered around World War One, and it's amazingly good. Just amazingly good. All the Anno Dracula books by Kim Newman are amazingly good. Okay, then we have Isaac Asimov. This is Foundation. This is a weird. Who did this? Del Rey. Yeah, Ballantine Del Rey did. This was a very weird paperback era for the Foundation trilogy, because they reprinted them with $1 and more expensive cover price, and not all of the cover art. Instead, you've got a detail of the cover art in this weird little sea urchin. I don't know why they did that, but that is, of course, the famous Foundation trilogy. I wonder if the rest of them will be here. Yeah, this is see what I mean? This is Darrow K. Sweet cover, and they're really good, but why aren't we getting the whole thing? Why are we getting it in this kind of an offset? I have no idea. And then the second one, is that right? Yeah, Foundation and Empire. It's a shame. I wish these things existed in mass market paperback still, with the full unabridged Darrow K. Sweet covers. These covers are terrific. I wish that they existed. I wish that there were maybe a big trade paperback with a lot of the Darrow K. Sweet artwork, all of the covers anyway, unabridged. That would be wonderful. Why that isn't possible, I don't know. It would sell. Oh my God, is it more Asimov? Yes, all right. Here we have a paperback of The Naked Sun with the full cover artwork, which is at least a blessing. What else have we got here? Oh my God. Okay, this is Foundation's Edge. Asimov came back to the Foundation world after years, said he wouldn't do it, but he did, and wrote a bigger Foundation book than any of the others, and it was a huge success. This was a huge success, a huge bestseller. People obviously, at the time, the idea of a science fiction author returning after years to his old creation that he had sworn off and that was all in the past for readers was rare. So, and it also, it benefits from a beautiful cover. Look at that. It's not only beautiful artwork, but it's embossed. That is just amazing. And this is really good Asimov. The thing about Asimov is that everything he wrote is really good. None of it's bad, but none of it's great. It's all just really good. He sat in front of a typewriter and produced the same prose line at the same level of artistic elevation, no matter what he wrote, no matter when, for 60 years. So I'm not mocking that at all. That is an incredible accomplishment. I know of almost nobody who's ever done the like. But it does mean that, okay, we have Foundation and Earth. This is even longer than Foundation's Edge. This is another mass market paperback with another terrific cover there, as the Foundation stories just go on and on. If you read just Foundation by Asimov, you see right away that it was not intended to go on and on, that it's really really doesn't work. I think I wouldn't pass up Second Foundation or Foundation and Earth. I wouldn't pass them up at all. But anyway, it went on and on. But we also have the Robots novels. Asimov is also famous for those. Here we have The Robots of Dawn, again with a beautiful cover. Is this more? Oh my God, it is. All right, here's the gods themselves. All this mass market Asimov. When I have all of Asimov in ebook, and these things will not really. Okay, then we have who did this? Bantam did a whole bunch of Asimovs with these. This same cover artist, he got so much work in the 90s. I don't know why. He's everywhere. Do I even know his name? If I'm bad-mouthing, I should probably say what his name is, if it's possible. Stephen Ewell. This is The Naked Sun. Just very flat, very boring, and he's everywhere. He's unavoidable in the 90s. Here he is again. This has got to be him, right? This is Caves of Steel. This just sort of just sits there cover. So this is all going to be Asimov. Oh my God, that would be a little bit much, even for me. Oh no, okay, oh great. This is the old Kodansha paperback of the good Murakami. This is Ryu Murakami, and this is his masterpiece, Coin Locker Babies. It's just a big, exultant, beautiful, pyrotechnic howl of drug-addled nihilism. just a lovely, lovely thing. You can feel the author on every page, trying to do whatever. You're not ever really sure what he's trying to do. But is that worse, or is that better than a Murakami who doesn't show up on the page because he's just sort of phoning things in with his left hand? Is that worse or better? I have an answer myself. Wonderful, though. Boy, you don't see this anymore. And of course, this is not in print, but Ryu Murakami, I don't think, is in print in America at all. Okay, all right. Wow. Penguin Classics, well, Once Upon a Time, did a 2-volume War and Peace. They split the book right in the middle as a very natural splitting point, and they put it in a box set, but they also published these books separately. And this is the Rosemary Edmonds translation, and this is War and Peace Part 1. I used to have these in a box set. I don't think these are them, because there's no box with them. And then War and Peace Part 2. And they just went together. They just split the book. At the same time that they were doing this, they were also publishing the Rosemary Edmonds translation in one big, fat, mass-market paperback. But they also did it separately, I guess, maybe, for the easily intimidated reader. I don't know. Okay, then we have the Rosemary Edmonds translation of Anna Karenina. Mrs. Karenina. This is the style here is not Anna Karenina. It's just Mrs. Karenina, the Anna Karenina, the name of her husband. Very, very boring cover. Right after this, the next time Penguin Classics in a mass market paperback printed Anna Karenina, they gave it the ultimate perfect cover. Just the ultimate perfect one. The perfect match of unrelated painting and great text. But I love the Rosemary Edmonds translation. Just love it. Okay. All right. Okay. This is Jeff Johns. Yes? Our next one is a comic book. A graphic novel, pardon me. This is Jeff Johns. Yes, this is Jeff Johns. This is the JSA, The Return of Hawkman. And JSA stands for the Justice Society of America. They were the first super team. They were assembled during World War II, and they were given their own Earth. They were given an alternate Earth when DC updated all of its heroes and came out with the Justice League of America. But the Justice Society had usually very little overlap with the Justice League. There was the Jay Garrick Flash. There was the Alan Scott Green Lantern. There was a different Hawkman. There was it was a really good team. It was a bit overpowered. You're not going to see that on this cover. But the original JSA, not only, in addition to having Green Lantern and the Flash, also had Dr. Fate, whose powers are essentially limitless, and the Spectre, whose powers are essentially limitless, and a kid named Johnny Thunder, who could summon a living Thunderbolt whose powers were essentially limitless. There was 3 characters on the team who couldn't be beaten. And really, Alan Scott's Green Lantern isn't easy to beat either. Jeff Johns revived them for DC, had a long run that was a fan favorite. And in this arc, it's going to be tough to explain. Hawkman had an origin for the Justice Society of America for World War II. He was a reincarnated Egyptian prince. Not supposed to think too hard about it. The fact that he's a reincarnated Egyptian prince is the reason why he does not use guns. He uses crossbows or nets or spears, ancient weapons. And when DC Comics revamped their hero line, they brought back Green Lantern, but it wasn't Alan Scott. They brought back the Flash, but it wasn't Jay Garrick. And they brought back Hawkman, but he wasn't a reincarnated Egyptian prince anymore. He was an alien from the planet Thanagar. He was a policeman from the planet Thanagar who'd come to Earth to study Earth policing methods, but somehow, for some reason, still used antique weapons. And Jeff Johns decides in this story arc to try and meld those two origins. There's no way to do that, but he tries anyway. It's not my favorite stuff. All right, okay. This next stuff is terrific. We'll finish up with another comic book. This is terrific stuff. But it's one of these 5-pound hardcover omnibus editions, so it's really hard to use. This is the Gail Simone run on Wonder Woman. Gail Simone is the writer here. A whole bunch of great artists all throughout here. This Jorge Jimenez is going on to greater and greater things. Always gets better. Every time he takes on a new title, he gets better. I've mentioned many times before on this channel that Wonder Woman is very easy to do wrong and very difficult to do right, and Gail Simone is the best writer who's ever done Wonder Woman. Gets the character perfectly. This is a character who is as powerful as Superman. No apologies, no watering down. But who has a completely different backstory and is infinitely more complex. So, I'm very glad I have it here, but the format. So there's another library tour for you, another shelf just at random. I'll wrap this up for now, and we'll see if we do another one tomorrow. Thank you, BookTube.